Well, the GOP looking to hammer Democrats on the economy ahead of these midterm elections. The strategy on full display in Pennsylvania, where Senate candidate Pat Toomey has released 6 new ads attacking Democratic rival Joe Sestak on spending, taxes, health care reform, and cap and trade.
Joe Sestak voted for government-run health care, but he went much further. Sestak voted to permit banning all private health insurance. That's really liberal. That's Joe Sestak.
I'm Pat Toomey, and I approve this message.
Campaign Carl Cameron live in D.C. on this story. All right, Carl, so how vulnerable now is the Democrat, Sestak?
Well, Democrats across the board are vulnerable because polls suggest that the American public is increasingly fed up with sort of profligate liberal spending and the threat of increased taxes and a down economy. Joe Sestak, the Democratic nominee, has not been getting the type of support that he'd hoped for against the Republican nominee, Pat Toomey, particularly because, in Sestak's case, he ran against the White House-backed, the Democratic establishment candidate Arlen Specter, the Democratic incumbent, and ousted him, so there's not a lot of money coming to Sestak at this point. Toomey is breaking records. He probably raised in excess of $3 million in the last quarter, and the latest poll shows that Toomey has moved into a 5-point lead. It's only just outside the margin of error, margin of error, Megan. But it is a lead for Toomey in a battleground swing state, Pennsylvania, where the incumbent is the outgoing Democrat, which means that Republicans could pick this seat up. And what Toomey is doing with those 6 ads, all talking about spending, is knitting it together into one sort of overarching criticism that Republicans in Pennsylvania and across the country are embracing as their battle cry this year, that the Democratic spending is essentially bloating government to the point of ineffectiveness and that they need to be ousted.
Of course, the Republicans used to hold it when Arlen Specter was a Republican. Then he switched to Democrat, and the Democrats now hold it, and now he's going out altogether. All right, so if all politics are local, Carl, can Republicans make this a national referendum when it comes to Democratic spending?
That's precisely why Toomey is using those 6 different issues in 6 different ads, talking about cap and trade and health care and various different other votes. Joe Sestak's only a 2-term congressman. He's been in Washington for 4 years. He has voted the Democratic Party line the entire time. And here's Toomey pounding Sestak for his voting record. It is true that a Republican like Toomey has been critical of fellow Republicans in the past, accusing them of overspending. So in this particular case, Toomey gets a bit of a pass. He was out of Congress for the latter part of the Bush administration and wasn't there to cast those votes, and in fact was critical of the spending. In the aggregate, Republicans have an advantage, not just because it's a midterm with the White House in power, but because of what the White House agenda has forced Democrats to vote. Lots and lots of bigger deficits.
All right. Well, thank you.